work.
Release the Greenblatt cut.
It's black and white. It's very grim. I mean, never say never, but this was a lot of work. Yeah.
Playing it this episode in this room, you got to hear the reactions as everyone saw those characters. For all of you guys, most of you have your own personal history. Was it just cool to kind of revisit all these Cartoon Network characters and sort of they have so much significance to creators and fans alike, and kind of get to pay respect to them the way you got to do?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, we're definitely fans. You know, Maxwell and I were working in Cartoon Network kind of around that era, so we've sort of been around all these characters. I think for us, it's not only like stuff that we're fans of, but it's like our history in the industry. So there's something really nice about kind of going back to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we both grew up on the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and were so influential. And then, you know, of course, we were there for Cartoon Network, so it's cool to come full circle.
And I mean, and everybody wanted Squirrel Boy. That was
the
most requested character.
Yeah, Richard, you also you voiced a couple other characters in there.
Yes.
was that fun to get to you dabble them in there?
Yeah, because I've always been a big fan of Billy's dad, and I loved Mogar. It was like one of my favorite characters. I just thought, I remember we were coming up with the voice for Billy's dad. Maxwell just said, you know, it's just Billy older. That's all it is. It's Billy older. So like. So this began, "Say, Dad." "Yes, Billy." It was just like, yeah. And then for Squirrel Boy, that was a very short-lived series that I thought could have gone further. I'd hoped it would have gone further. But yeah, that was fun to go back. The Gray's also got a couple of characters in there also. Yeah.
Squirrel Boy lives on in our hearts.
We are all Squirrel Boy.
Yeah. We're gonna start taking some audience questions in a couple minutes. Oh, there are definitely people ready to do that. But I do want to ask in general with this show, the deep cuts. I know Hanna-Barbera. I love Hanna-Barbera, but you guys will sometimes include characters that I'm just like, who is a Clue Club? And I'll have to goose.
You don't remember the Clue Club?
You guys, is there someone on staff? Is it you guys that are encyclopedic, or is it sometimes you're being reminded about all these characters?
You okay?
Oh, you okay?
Okay. No, I think a lot of it just comes out of a lot of our staff on the show are young and they don't know a lot of these shows. I think we're the ones who are like, oh, this would be great if we did this character. This would be great if we did this character. A lot of times, I think one of the things that I established on the show when we first designed it was, I said any characters who show up need to come from the Hanna-Barbera universe, whether they're just background people, whether they're just random guest stars, whether this or that. So it forced us to kind of start doing deep dives when it's like, oh, we need a character to fit this role, we need a character to fit this role. We start finding weird characters online, or characters that I remember, or you remember, and we could throw those into episodes. So it really came out of just kind of sometimes just needing to pepper in someone, but sometimes it's more just, you know, like we just really want to have this character in an episode. I mean, we've got, coming up in the season, there's Ray Spannon, there's the Herculoids, there's Thundar, there's
Lady Constance.
Lady Constance, which that one. The one I really wanted more than anything was Devlin. There's Wheelie from Wheelie and the Chopper Bunch. There's Frankenstein Jr. There's Mushmouth and Punkypuss. There's a lot. There's a lot.
I'm very excited about Frankenstein Jr.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you for introducing me to the King, because I didn't know that character.
Hey!
Yeah. He's amazing.
A totally original creation. Hey!
Yeah. Very original. Can we get the first question over here?
Hi, I really love the special. It really reminded me when you guys did like Invaded, and it was like really cool. So my question is, in your previous shows, my favorite aspect was whenever you guys would use like stop motion or puppets or anything like that. Would you, do that in the future? Would you be open to that?
I'd be open for it. It's not something that we have in this show, but I love working in multimedia.
Yeah, we both love that stuff. So.
I love when you did it. It was like Dead Meat, was it called? You did like a puppet thing.
Oh yeah, I tried anyway. Yeah, puppets are hard work. So.
Yeah. It's usually, you have to factor it into the budget on a show. So like on Chowder, we had it factored in that we could do that. I think on Billy Manny, you had a few segments.
We carved out some special stuff. Really needed it.
Yeah, but a lot of times it was very DIY, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like it was us in the alleyway, and
Oh yeah, Carl and I do have a wonderful story about an afternoon we spent in a dumpster behind Cartoon Network.
With puppets above our heads, yeah, so, yeah.
Thank you. That reminds me, visual style. Jellystone has a distinct style for the characters, for the Cartoon Network characters. Did you have to discuss, should they look exactly like I remember them, or should they be the Jellystone version of them?
I think early on we very much decided we really wanted them to look like their original versions, because the sort of the rule of the show is always things that show up in Jellystone get Jellystone-ified to style so the show has a unique look.
Yeah.
This really had to feel like they weren't from the world of Jellystone. They had to feel like they were from an outside source. So that's why we really wanted to make sure it kept their original styles. And I think it made it even more special because it really felt like the old cartoons were showing up in this cartoon. And it felt like a mashup of shows versus guest stars on the show.
Right. Next question.
First of all, Maxwell, sharply suited the con, obviously.
This is my building council.
I really love the show to begin with. I think it's so smart and funny and well done, but this was just like on another level. We were talking about earlier how there was a list of like a lot of characters and you had to get clearances, and obviously there probably was some heartbreaks, so I'm kind of wondering, is there anything that didn't make it in that you really were hoping for and just kind of didn't?
No, I think we got the...
Yeah, we got the ones we really wanted. There were most of the ones we couldn't use for legal reasons. Like there were a whole bunch of co-productions that Hanna-Barbera had with Ruby Spears, even Scooby-Doo, like some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think for the most part, we were really happy. You know, when we go into this special, it was like we knew we were going to get all the Cartoon Network originals. We knew we were going to get all those characters. And then the classic Hanna-Barbera characters that we got to use, I think we pretty much got everybody we wanted. There's always one or two, like if you look at some of the things, like we weren't allowed to say Laugh Olympics, we weren't allowed to use the Wacky Racers, we weren't allowed to use the certain other characters. It's just legal who owns them, and it starts to become a little bit of a thing. So you kind of focus on who you can, what toys you can play with, and you go with those.
Well, congrats, it was really great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank you guys for everything you've done for this entire industry. Just baffled by everything. But the question is that during the production of this, of course, fantastic episode, was there any part that got really far into development that you just had to cut for any reason in particular?
No, usually you end up cutting things early because you kind of figure it all out in the animatic stage, which is the boarding stage where we put in the rough dialogue, and we kind of cut it down to time at that point. So before we get too far, we have to sort of really know what we're doing because we don't have a lot of budget to spend.
Yeah, like that's where the Johnny Bravo stuff got cut, because we already knew we weren't going to make the time cut off.
Yeah, but that's the point where you can kind of have it be a little bit longer. So no, there's nothing that we were like that far into the process that we could cut. You know, yeah, just little nips and tucks and things to tighten it up. I think there was one joke that we cut that you were sad about.
I remembered it as it went by, but now I can't.
So, do you remember the scene when Mandy's like, if you don't get him back, I'm gonna rearrange your face, and then she does that to Grim? Then Grim said the line, Mandy, what was it? Mandy?
I can't remember.
No, it was, Mandy, you're so...
Oh, it was, yeah.
Anyway, it was like, it was like a very specific line that had to be to you.
Yes.
And we just couldn't fit it, we had to cut something.
It's the, yeah.
Anyway. Sorry, I'm getting old, I can't remember things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question for Maxwell Adams. But before I do, I just want to say you guys all did a great job on the special, and you all made Cartoon Network, and thank you for everything. But my question for Maxwell is that I know you mentioned that no Cartoon Network characters before 2008 were going to be in the special, but I saw it a bunch of time in regular shows, so I was wondering what was the decision to...
It was actually after that. That's a rule we kind of set up for ourselves, was just we were gonna focus on the stuff kind of 2008 and before, because that's the time we were there.
Exactly. I think it was more about like when we kind of left the studio and they were still doing regular show and stuff throughout that time. So it's roughly that. But I think anything after that, like Steven Universe, everything was kind of after we had left. So
Yeah, there's a Finn and a Jake in there because there was a little overlap. But
yeah, we were doing that. I remember back then. So.
How much did you talk to the creators of these other shows?
None. Except for when I said we talked to
Craig and Gendy, and I talk at the Tom Wilburton and Danny Shields.
Yeah.
Have they gotten to see it yet?
I don't think anybody's seen it. I mean, like I said, we sent an episode to Craig and Genny to give us feedback, but beyond that, no, hopefully everyone will like it. We tried to do justice to everybody's characters. Like, to me, this isn't us making fun of anybody's stuff or pooping on it. Like, this was very much a love letter to that stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will have an issue with it.
I think we all took it as a love letter to it.
I'll say somebody who was kind of a fan first. It was so nerve-wracking to pitch Billy and Mandy jokes to Maxwell. You were very, very nice, and you made it very comfortable. But I was
Good jokes.
yeah, a lot of funny stuff in that episode. And yeah, I was so stressed, guys. Oh my god. And yes, you were very welcoming. So thank you.
I have a question about the writing. Was it difficult to make the dialogue from these characters of different eras of cartoons cohesive, or did it help that they were all outcast characters?
I don't think it felt that difficult. I think because we're very familiar with those characters, because we feel like we've watched so many of those episodes. No, it didn't. I mean, you did one, right?
It felt good to me.
Yeah.
Hi, this special was so hilarious, and I want to ask Richard a question.
Okay.
How would an interaction between Billy and your character from, since we're kids here, I'm just going to say Heck of a Boss, Moxie would go?
Like this. Say, what are you doing here? Be quiet, I'm on a mission. Say, I like your gun. Can I try that? Get away from me, Millie!
Invader Zim, what are you doing here?
I was gonna ask you, Richard, because you got to revisit Alpha 5 last year.
Yeah.
Now Billy, I feel like
Last year was a big, well, I guess from 2019 was a lot of revisiting things. Like we did Raz from Psychonauts, we did Billy, we did Invader Zim for the 2019 Florpus movie. And so, yeah, no, it's nice to have characters that still last, that people remember and want to see still.
Is there someone you're hoping is next on the Breaking Bad?
Yeah, maybe something called Adventures of Billy and Mandy, I'm just saying. we got a story left to tell.
It's old Mogar then.
Yeah, it's Mogar and the New Adventures. Yeah, I think so.
Thank you all for your hard work on the shows. My question is for Greenblatt. There was a Hanna-Barbera show called